When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them, if they need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I'm Andy Signor, and boy, we got a fun show for you. I got two amazing guests here with us. Steph, the alternate, is back, and so happy to have Ariadna Jacob here. How are you doing, Ari?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, I love talking Taylor Lorenz with you because you're suing her. And so I applaud you and your efforts there against, well, at the New York Times at the time is where you're after. I got so much to talk to you about, but Steph, before we get there, hey Steph, hey up, how are you doing?
Hey up. Bit on the flustered side today, but apart from that, I'm still alive. So let's crack on. How about yourself?
I'm good. At least you're not pissing off a small group of Johnny Depp fans. It seemed every day, dude, I step in the one wrong pile. You do a good deed and it never gets unpunished. But hey, we got more important things to talk about. You can't please everybody is what you learn. In fact, guys, use that block button or that mute button. Then they just start talking to nobody. There's so many nice features on Twitter that you can employ to actually give yourself better mental health. So don't get stuck yelling with people who are just negative. And there's someone who likes to do that a lot, and that her name is Taylor Lorenz. Now, we've covered her in the past here. She worked for the New York Times and she worked for the Washington Post. And I mean, she's been no fan of mine. Let's be fair. True, full disclosure here. In fact, shout out to Jeremy up to Quartering for catching this. He was very nice during this this hit piece that Kitty Cat made, because I refused to keep giving her name attention. But of course, as that all happened, Taylor made a point to literally her and NBC News were sharing it all day long, just rat-a-tat-tat, trying to clearly all part of an agenda to get me. They'd come after Laura B previously, Tug. They've been trying to discredit anybody who was sort of a big part in the Johnny Depp community. It almost feels like there was some sort of campaign. They were aligned with a goal. I wonder who could be doing that. But he was just noticing Taylor retweeted this hit piece multiple times and could barely boast 100 likes on it. Looks like her bot network is no longer functional. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I saw it myself. She's just been doing so much this past week. She's been losing her mind because of Twitter's new rules. She's been trying very much to get her Substack going. If you actually go to Taylor's
she changed it back, huh?
Oh, she changed it. Yeah, see, she changed it.
Say,
she was,
yeah,
right there. It said subscribe to my Substack. Used to be her freaking name because she was literally like, come support me independently because I know the time is numbered. But recently, today, she's had a lot of problems, and Ari, you can hopefully help us adjust us here. I don't like to just keep spotlighting one person to hate on, but I really don't like journalists who lie to you guys or just get jealous and bitter and negative. If she wants to go do this on her Substack, it's one thing. If she wants to become an independent journalist and go bash whoever she wants to do, well, then I mean, it is what it is, right?
The devastating and
but the problem is she's doing it for the mainstream media, and I don't understand why this is allowed. I want to break it down. So the latest here that I want to, I don't know why I just jumped.
And she's the latest story here that she's even said herself, she wants to be a sort of a influencer journalist. She believes in sort of every journalist being able to build their own persona and personal brand and, have followers on TikTok and be, making documentaries and stuff. And, I don't say that that's necessarily wrong, but, she's getting all the resources of the Washington Post and places like the New York Times to get to that status. I don't think people would be seeking her out or her reporting if she wasn't at the Washington Post, if she wasn't at the New York Times. And so to sort of, she's using all their clout and power in order to make herself big. But unfortunately, I don't think it's working out in her favor.
No, I mean, this was the latest I want to get right into, and feel free to share any other greatest hits you guys want to point out. But today I've been noticing a lot of flack because she was calling out a former New York Times colleague, Bari Weiss. And it's just the take was just bizarre to me. Here's the image, I guess. Let me see if I can have this up here. Notable what gets framed as buzzy media startup. If you start off rich, have a rich spouse, rich friends, don't follow any journalistic integrity, ethical rules, and focus your content solely on serving the interests of extremely powerful rich people, you can go far, calling out her fellow female colleague. Now, as many others have posted, Harry, Steph, I'm curious. It sounds like she's writing about herself, if we're being honest here. Taylor is. I don't think she even notices the own irony of the fact that himself has come from a rich background, affluent, wealthy community, etc. And literally follows no journalistic ethical rules, has been caught lying multiple times, and is now just like literally jealous because her former colleague Bari is starting to get some headway with what she's doing. I want to go to you first, Harry. Like, what is your reaction when you see Taylor calling out a female colleague like this?
Well, if anybody watches LawTube and Viva Fry and Robert Barnes, it's sort of what they call confession through projection. It's she's just projecting what she is. And I don't know if she doesn't think that people know I guess she probably assumes that most people don't know her background, right? Because she keeps a lot of that stuff hidden. But if you go on YouTube and you search Taylor Lorenz, history or background or story, whatever, there's multiple videos about it. There's I think an article that shows all her family connections to the media, to her uncle that was running the Wayback Machine, some part of it. And so yeah, she's privileged. She comes from Greenwich, Connecticut. Somebody sent me an article the other day that she got kind of random, but she got her eggs frozen 6 times. If anybody knows how expensive that is, I was looking into it. It's like $10,000 every time. So who's got, Jesus. And she did it when she was 28 years old. Who's got 60 grand lying around when they're 28? I mean, not a lot of people.
Yeah. Didn't you grow up in Greenwich with daughters in the C-suite execs of luxury home builder, multi-million-dollar home, congressman, grandmother, Wesley, board of trustees, uncle founded Internet Archive explains. So what is this a self-description? Like everybody's just self-owning her. And it is a lot of projection. I think that's a good word to use because I just don't know what else you call it. Literally you were telling everybody just slamming her. Someone's jealous. This laughably bad tweet made so much more about Taylor Lorenz than it does about Bari. I don't think Bari has even responded, in which case good for her. But yeah, this is the Washington Post. This is literally the one who posted the op-ed, for Amber. Taylor has been a notable Amber supporter over the years. Steph, what is your reaction to seeing Taylor's latest meltdown here?
So this is quite scary in a way that she's trying to angle herself through all of this as an influencer reporter. To me, that's kind of like two contradictory terms put together. A journalist should literally just find out what's going on in the situation and report it. And that's it. No influence, no nothing. If we're going to look at the true basis of what a reporter is supposed to be. To put into the mix this whole influencer aspect of it, then what then happens to me is that, and then the journalistic ethics of code then go out of the window. Because then once you become an influencer, then potentially, what is it? You could be sold to highest bidder. Someone sponsoring you as an influencer journalist, right? Independent influencer journalist. Then your angle when it comes to what you're writing is completely skewed. So you could never actually be trusted as a quote unquote influencer journalist. Now, as influencers on their own, they can be trusted. Why? Just let me for me to explain so no one gets my words twisted here. I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, there's something called Ofcom, that's a regulatory body that regulates this kind of thing. And when an influencer is promoting something, they have to be very, very clear in saying that it's an advert or say that it's sponsored. And be very, very, very extremely clear on that.
It almost puts her into a conflict of interest on directly the people she reports on. Because if you're an influencer and you're reporting on influencers like Andy or other journalists and things like that, it puts you in direct competition with the very people that you report on.
That's right. But it's also a conflict of interest of actually being a journalist in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
Because then there's instant bias. Quite clear, quite plain. And if she is sponsored or is backed as an influencer journalist, well, she could potentially, depending on the rules over there, skirt that and not say that she's sponsored and not disclose that because of the journalist side of things. Like this is that kind of term is going into very, very dark, murky waters where she's able to continue what she's doing without any impunity at the moment and get away with it, like beneath the surface in front of your very eyes.
Influence the news. It's what she's doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But other people influencing her to influence the news. Because it's not just her. It's then, if she's an influencer journalist, then who's influencing her? Dark forces, good forces, don't matter.
Her own narcissism, right? It's she's promoting her personal brand so she can get book deals and she can get elevated. Who knows? Maybe she wants to be like a Brian Stelter who started off at the New York Times as sort of a digital blogger, and then he got his own show, you know, which I think he's lost since then. But I don't know really what her goals are, but she's sure seems to like to go on TV. She likes to go on, you know, all these, the BBC and CNN and all these different you know, television outlets to give commentary on things. And then like today I think she posted like, oh, that she's tweeting again, or she's trending again. She's trying to do a humble brag, but it's like, you do this every time, Taylor. Like, it's pretty clear you're not humble bragging, you're just bragging.
Exactly. There's as we talk about this sort of influence, there's this, it is weird because she's very vocal against Bari. And again, I think she's a pro-censorship journalist attacking pro-freedom of speech journalists. Bari Weiss has been covering the Twitter files over on Twitter. And say what you want about Elon and everything else. Like, you know, they're trying to expose a lot of corruption and stuff that was hidden by the previous regime at Twitter. Now, I do think a lot of this doesn't surprise me, but it's still stuff that should have been out there.
Well,
and I
they're
applaud
getting
Elon
unfettered access to it, and I wonder if Taylor's getting a little nervous. Like,
exactly. And so that's the thing.
What were her
it's
connections to Twitter?
I want it all out there, and it's like Elon's starting to do it, and Barry's one of the reporters who has all the access to do it, and so she's clearly starting this attack. But it was just interesting as we were doing the work, right, and looking around. Jim Baker, who was he was the FBI agent behind all of this. That was sort of helping to cover this up, right, Ari?
He was he was the deputy general counsel at Twitter, and previously he was the general counsel for the FBI. And so,
and just oddly enough, the last thing he liked, and he hasn't done anything since 2020, literally hasn't liked anything 2020. The last thing he liked was Taylor and a little winky face. Like, almost, again, this doesn't prove anything. I'm speculation warning on screen, but it is a little weird, the connection there of all like the quiet silence he's left. And the last interaction he had on Twitter was liking Taylor's tweet. What does this say to you, Ari?
It was a tweet trashing, you know, so when they rolled out the blue check marks, all these people, they imitated these other accounts. And so that's what she's making fun of, is that he, but it's like, this guy was working at Twitter at the time, and he's liking a post making fun of the Twitter blue rollout. I mean, it's like, if that's not insubordination, I don't know what is. And if you look at his main tweets, he didn't even tweet at all. I don't think he's tweeted at all. This is a company he works for. Yeah, 2021.
Literally his only activity in the past year. You want to talk
about insubordination with Jim Baker, where the first set of Twitter files that came out, and it then transpires that he was behind the scenes without Elon Musk or top management knowing, trying to vet the Twitter files. Yeah, trying to still censor some of it, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, for those of you guys that weren't following along, basically the Twitter files dropped, and Bari Weiss and Matt Taibbi had access, and Bari was waiting on documents to be sent to her, and she was like, well, you know, who's sending them, because it's taking forever. And they're like, you know, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly what happened, but she's saying, they're saying, oh, it's Jim. And she said, Jim who? And they said, Jim Baker. And then she said, oh, because she's been obviously following along, and she's you know, reports on politics and does opinion pieces and this and that. Elon Musk he goes into this, and from what I understand, your legal counsel is really the last people that you want to let go, because they know where all the bodies are buried, essentially, and you kind of want to have them on your side. So he it seems as though he hadn't vetted sort of all the background of every single person at Twitter, and Jim Baker sort of seemed to have slipped through the cracks. What would have been more what it would have been better is if Jim Baker said, hey, I came from the FBI, and I should have he should have almost like recused himself from that whole interaction. That would have been sort of the right thing to do. But anyway, that's the background on Jim Baker. And I just want to know, why is he following Taylor Lorenz, and why does he, it's the only thing he liked in 22, her post.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So anyway, guys, it's like, look, Taylor and Kat are absolutely in cahoots together. They help each other all the time. It's the same narrative that they're pushing over there. And one thing, and Steph, thank you for sharing this. This was pretty epic coming in from Jose, body language guy. This just came in, I guess, a few hours ago. Charlie Kirk sharing Washington Post CEO Frederick Ryan announcing massive layoffs as the paper is about to lose 500,000 subscribers. Here's the reality of it, guys. This year, watch the reaction when Washington Post reporters receive the news.
We're not going to turn the town hall into a grievance session for the I'm sorry. Thank you.
Ask the question. Brad, you talked about positions getting eliminated. What are you going to do to protect people's jobs? Are they going to be treated like the magazine staffers were?
We'll have more information as we move forward. Thank you very much.
And how will the positions be decided?
You seem to be disrespecting this.
Washington Post in trouble. Yeah, what do you think, Ari, when you see this?
I mean, look, I'm not one to sort of, laugh at people's pain of losing their jobs. I don't know all these reporters, but you reap what you sow sometimes, don't you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I'm not mad at the people losing the jobs. I'm mad. It's just exactly like, this is why it's hard to not see the reason why you're losing subscribers, because people don't trust you. And so all these people out there reporting this stuff, what did you expect was going to happen? And it's like, duh, look, when Taylor's out there just attacking people who have criticized her, and then, hey, subscribe to my Substack, the writing's on the wall. They know what's happening. And Elon taking over Twitter is not good for their business at all, because he's going to call out the bullshit. And again, I've had my own issues and whatever, but I do appreciate that Elon is attempting to, give us more freedoms and say what we need to say and cut out the bullshit, because there was clearly a lot of corruption behind the scenes on Twitter as a platform, and all the social media platforms, if we're being honest. And she's terrified by it. So to see her out there attacking the woman who's doing it, it's just despicable, but not surprising. The biggest thing
of hypocrisy that I don't think has been reported on very much this week is that Eliza Blue went on a Twitter Spaces. Eliza Blue is I think she was a human trafficking victim, and basically has made it her life's goal to help so that children don't get exploited on the internet. And she does this whole Twitter Spaces with one of the women that's in charge of the department that helps with child safety. And then they're on another call, they're joined in by this guy who's a partner, who's actually sifting through all this really terrible stuff that nobody wants to look at. And you can just tell by, you could tell when you hear somebody's voice and that they're being sincere. And these people were explaining all this stuff. Now, why has Taylor Lorenz not focused, or Kat, or any of those people that supposedly care so much about exploitation and all this stuff? They're focusing on someone like you, which is nothing has no proven allegations, none of this stuff, but they don't want to even say, hey, we don't like Elon, but hey, it's pretty good that he took off. They said that they took videos that had over 10 million views on Twitter that were exploiting children since Elon Musk has gotten there. Why haven't they reported on that? I mean, to me, that's the most blatant and disgusting sign of hypocrisy across the mainstream media. I haven't heard anything about it other than listening to the 2-hour space, which, by the way, Elon Musk joined.
Steph, anything else you want to add on this before we pivot over or open this more broadly?
The writing's on the wall for Taylor and the other hacktivists. They're all hacks. And It's just as simple as it's like, at the end of the day, why fight in the mud? You're supposed to be above that. They're all just now fighting for relevancy. They're all now quite clearly, based on what we've just seen there, fighting for their jobs, fighting for their livelihoods, and they're going to do everything they can. And this all now just screams of desperation, like absolutely. And the writing again is on the wall specifically for Taylor Lorenz, not only from a professional perspective, because if this what she's is what she's reducing herself to, she ain't gonna last long. But secondly, with what Ari's got in store for her, yeah, she her ass is gonna get torn a new one. So I'm looking forward to the bloodbath. Ari, you go get her. And yeah, she's a disgusting journalist. Disgusting.
Yeah,
I don't want to call her a journalist. I don't even think she deserves that title at all.
It's crazy that she's going after Bari Weiss and saying all these things about her unethical behavior when if you go to our complaint against Taylor Lorenz, it shows how she broke all these ethics rules of the New York Times. Like, asking me for my address, saying it was not for publication, then linking to a Zillow with the address on it, going against what she said. Things like she was represented by the talent agency that she reported on and didn't disclose that she reported on them. Not only that, she's reporting on a talent agency which pays her money. You're not allowed to accept financial things from people that you cover. So you could look at what Taylor's done unethically, 100 times over. And I don't think, Bari even has said, hey, I've made mistakes. Taylor doesn't like to apologize when she makes mistakes. In fact, she typically doesn't apologize unless somebody probably over at legal at the New York Times or the Washington Post asks her to. And it's just, the reason why it's good that you're covering Taylor, in my opinion, is because she is somebody that other people are mimicking, other young journalists. And they're saying, well, if Taylor can get famous doing what she's doing, they're going to copy that. And we're going to get lots of little Taylor Lorenz minions. And as soon as, we take Taylor gets held accountable, is another Taylor Lorenz just going to pop right into her spot? We need to show how bad somebody like Taylor is in terms of journalism so that other people see that as an example of what not to do. Because if journalists grow up to want to be Taylor Lorenz, we have a really, really big problem for the future.
And there's your influencer journalist right there, taking money, reporting on something, but not disclosing it. There you go, right there. She's dangerous, this woman. She really is, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. She needs to be exposed.
And it's funny, she can't help herself. I think I mean, honestly, I was busy yesterday. I feel like I'm usually on Taylor Lorenz watch just because I think it's important to catch her. And I was like, the one day I had Vanessa Hudgens flew into town and we were doing an activation for her, but I was busy. And then I got a text from Andy and I'm like, oh, I didn't know Taylor's stepped in it once again. I step away from my computer for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta react to this. Well, you've become an expert. I mean, because she came after you, and I don't like that she came after you. So we're here to have your back, and she's come after a lot of us. And so I applaud you for having the guts to stand up against her and this New York Times when she was there, because that takes a lot of guts. It's going to be a hard battle, obviously, but you're doing a great job. And yeah, we got to hold these reporters accountable. It's getting scary with the amount of access and lies they're just allowed to peddle, and then move on to the next lie. No, not on our watch. So where can people help you, Ari, about that or anything else? I guess, can they follow you on Twitter?
Just follow me. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I'm Little Miss Jacob. I'm pretty much Little Miss Jacob on everything. I'm probably the most active on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. But I would just say, follow the case and educate yourself on some of these things that obviously are not being reported by the mainstream media, and call out reporters, not just Taylor Lorenz, but when you see reporters lie, call them out, because eventually the smaller voices will start to become louder. And I think that's what's happened to Taylor since 2020 when she came after me. Additionally, somebody to look into is Aria Tufanian. Taylor wrote an article article about him in the New York Times, which destroyed his company, I'm Schmacked. And what's interesting is that he sued the New York Times, and I don't know if it went forward, but basically they included documentation showing that Taylor Lorenz was DMing sources for this article about Aria Tufanian and asking them to, hey, reach out to the FBI. Here's an email of somebody at the FBI. You can send them this article, but don't tell them it came from me. You know, it came from a source that I have that doesn't want to be disclosed. So Taylor does have ties to the FBI, the DOJ. She was tight with Nina Jankowicz, which was the information czar in the government. These people, I mean, I hate to make it sound like a conspiracy and looking into things, but if you don't look into things, these people just get to act with impunity. And it's not just me that they've destroyed. I've gotten so many messages from people that have gotten destroyed by people like Taylor Lorenz, or if not her specifically. And I really believe that now she's given me a new legacy in life to go after these journalists. And I hope people like you, Andy, and everybody on your team becomes the people that people listen to, because I do think that you're telling the truth and you're bringing people on to explain. Because if I was full of it, then your audience could say, well, she sounds like she's full of it. But let the people decide, you know, and I doubt Taylor Lorenz would ever come on this show, but if she was so confident, then she would, right?
She rejected my pleas to come on the show when we were actually engaged in some civil conversation through DMs a while back. She was going to ask her editors, and then quickly she saw, no, I can't go on this guy's channel because he's going to ask the questions nobody else wants to ask. And that's what we're going to try to do. Look, I'm here to just ask the questions and make sure that we're really getting the truth from our media. I don't claim to be some journalist. I guess I am in a way, but really more of a community of truth seekers that try to like just report about the news. It's not about me. It's not about Steph. It's about the stuff that we're watching out there. So we will keep doing that work. And Ari, please keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to clip it here for the main show. We got lots more to talk about. In fact, Lewis, I want to get your thoughts. But please, if you haven't already, hit that join button, because if you watch this on the replay, you can watch the whole show by being a member. It's one of the perks of being a member here on Popcorn Planet and supporting the community. So pick a tier, go on over there and make sure you subscribe to all Steph the Alternate and follow Ari over on Twitter at Little Miss Jacob.